Hey everyone, welcome to this video. Today we're going to take you into a story filled with suspense and humor. Are you ready? She had an idea and rushed upstairs, but too late, her wife and kid vanished overnight. At 25, Frank was imprisoned for murder in the Iron Prison with a 25-year sentence. After 18 years hospitalized for appendicitis, she escaped like Superman, but twisted her ankle. She randomly grabbed a boy in the supermarket on impulse and demanded that he take her to meet her mother. Frank hoped to escape just like a discounted item in the supermarket, while Adele gazed at this customer with a face covered in blood. Adele wasn't looking to get tangled in drama, so she made up an excuse about having plans, but little did she know the guy had the chokehold on her son as a get-out-of-jail-free card. Eventually, she reluctantly agreed, but at checkout, her nervousness caught the cashier's attention. Still, Adele kept Mom, and the three of them hopped in the car. Frank held the boy in the backseat, having Adele drive them home. When police cars zoomed past, they didn't manage to send the rescue signal. This unspoken bond was oddly magical. Finally, they reached home, and Frank took in the cozy space, while Adele seized the opportunity to ask about her injury. Frank replied bluntly, "I jumped from the second floor, got hurt, it was a prison hospital." Mother and son realized they were helping a fugitive. Adele nervously poured coffee, while Frank sensed the odd vibe. "I'm just here till evening. My legs need a little break," Frank said, as if bartering for emotional support. Adele wasn't about to take her word for it. "I've never hurt anyone on purpose, you know," she said, sounding like a kid trying to defend themselves. Just then, the TV blared a news report about a fugitive murderer. The mood got uncomfortable fast. Henry glanced at the man next to him, realizing hiding a criminal is illegal. Frank had clearly anticipated that and suggested binding Adele for a fake kidnapping scenario. This avoids implicating Adele and her child. With her consent, Frank tied her to the chair. Found iumat edad letter 3ca plus or minus band 3 area 3 iumat until the letter gbd through the letter 4 abc sedilla iq 10 direct reflex a quarter w grov iumat io time cell ade ostrek 3 iumat pound sign oad zero pair acute a armenian jar grov iumat dot times iumat alsedilla edad iumat iuq c grov letter 763 not sign o iumat cyrillic letter 461 or a armenian copyright times l. Frank then wandered into the kitchen, leaving Adele and her son puzzled, wondering what he was up to. He rummaged through the fridge, maybe trying to make up for his uninvited guest status, and skillfully began preparing dinner. He patiently fed Adele, blowing her food cool, knowing her feet were tied to her astonishment. This unexpected kindness threw her off guard, yet she didn't refuse, curiously taking bites. Henry watched in surprise, as his mother had been in a depressive state since the divorce. He rarely interacted with men, yet here he was, watching his mum eat the food Frank offered bite by bite. It felt miraculous. As night fell, the patrol cars hadn't left, and Frank was stuck hiding till tomorrow. He first loosened Adele's ropes, allowing her to go to her room for a rest, while he made do with the couch for the night. The next morning, Frank whipped up breakfast as usual, while Henry gazed at the man in the newspaper in a trance. "So, how did you escape?" he finally asked. "I told the doctor if he leaves, he'll jump out the window." He heard that, and went for a smoke. Nothing fails harder than the truth. Later, Frank found out Henry's father left with his secretary, abandoning him and Adele. Frank joked, "How could you let a woman leave like your mum?" Adele brought rope, asking Frank to tie her, but he said, "No need, this clears me of charges." This morning, he heard no train, perhaps due to the weekend. He might stay another 2 days. Adele said little. At her son's cue, she tried Frank's breakfast and found it surprisingly tasty. Frank realized Adele would keep helping. Grateful, he decided to help where possible. He started by fixing the broken steps, replacing the fuse in Adele's beloved car, and finally gave the floor a good polish. On top of that, he patiently taught the boy how to play baseball, as Frank cherished this rare kindness. Adele watched all this unfold, and in the warm afternoon sun, mother and son seemed to momentarily forget Frank's true identity. Adele even went out of her way to help him fix his pants, but just as they were soaking in the warmth of the moment, disaster crashed in like an uninvited guest. Frank hurriedly took Adele hostage, told Henry to answer the door, and warned him not to slip up. Fortunately, it was their neighbor with peaches. Seeing Henry open the door, the neighbor warned of a nearby escaped murderer, advising against letting strangers in. Hearing that, Henry got super anxious, but put on a brave face to send the neighbor away. After the event, Frank commended Henry for doing a great job, and then a trace of self-satisfaction appeared on Henry's face. subtitles, Adele sent her son off and, with a slight hint of displeasure, accused Frank. I wish he had that kind of courage, but not for this. I can't guarantee he'll just show up at the door. Adele was momentarily lost for words, and to break the awkward silence, Frank grabbed a peach from the table and took a bite, only to be pleasantly surprised by its sweetness. Wow, this peach is perfectly ripe. If we don't eat it soon, it's going to spoil, Adele said. So Frank got Adele and Henry involved, and they began making his famous peach pie together. It felt just like family. Through this process, Adele felt the warmth Frank brought, and her heartstrings were tugged over and over. Seeing his mother's response, Henry sensed changes in her demeanor and began to realize she may have developed feelings for this man. The smell of peach pie wafted from the oven, mingling with the warmth of their growing emotions. Frank sat by Adele, naturally placed his hand on her waist. She hesitated, then leaned on his shoulder. Since the divorce, she hadn't experienced such longing in ages, and both Adele and Frank relished the tenderness of the moment. Watching from the living room, Henry saw the whole scene unfold. Noticing patrol cars passing by again, Frank's chance to escape was at hand. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting content.